652, Big 550 KTRS. We got news yesterday that George Herbert Walker Bush is in the hospital. Now we're going to find out more. Jim Ryan is covering this story down in Texas. Good morning, Jim Ryan.
Good morning, McGraw. He is still hospitalized this morning in intensive care. It was hoped that he'd be getting out of the hospital fairly soon. He just had breathing difficulties, the kind of thing that's lingered for the last couple of years. But yesterday, his doctors decided that he needed to have anesthesia in order to do a procedure to clear some blockage in his airway. And that's what happened. That's what accounts for his going to the ICU. Meanwhile, his wife, Barbara Bush, who's 91 years old, George H.W. was 92, she had been suffering exhaustion and a cough of her own, decided that she couldn't treat it at home anymore, and she too went to Houston Methodist Hospital and is checked in today, presumably in a regular room.
Are they? So they're in the same hospital?
They are, yes.
Yeah. Now, we also are learning, Jim Ryan, that some letter that he wrote to President Trump has been released.
Yes. You know, there have been questions about whether George H.W. Bush, Bush 41, would be going to the inauguration of the 45th president. We know now from a letter dated January 10th, and that opens kind of casually, Dear Donald, that George H.W. Bush and Barbara will not be going. It has nothing to do with the politics of the political season we just completed. During the primary season, of course, Trump was tough on Jeb Bush firing back, and Barbara Bush firing back at Trump as well. The letter makes no mention of that. It says, Barbara and I are sorry we can't be there for the inauguration. My doctor says if I sit outside in January, it likely will put me 6 feet under. Same for Barbara. So he says, I guess we're stuck in Texas.
Class all the way, George Herbert Walker Bush. Donald Trump has responded to that, has he not?
He has. He, in typical Trump fashion, tweeted out and said, looking forward to a speedy recovery for George and Barbara Bush, both hospitalized. Thank you for your wonderful letter.
Because we know how much George Herbert Walker Bush loves Twitter, so I'm sure he can find that on his Twitter feed. I hope he's following real Donald Trump on his Twitter feed.
Yeah, verified or not?
George Bush, the oldest living president, still very active, but the last couple of years we've heard he's been getting sicker and sicker. I guess that's sort of the natural progression of a 92-year-old man.
I think you're right. I mean, he has a form of Parkinson's disease, and so he has limited mobility. He uses a motorized wheelchair to get around, but still his mind is said to be very sharp. And, you know, as you've seen on his 0 birthdays, 70, 80, 90, I believe, he also has been jumping out of airplanes. He'll do a tandem jump to parachute and enjoys doing that. So he's still very active. He and former President Jimmy Carter and Bill Clinton, of course, the other ex-presidents are all still out there in the public eye to some degree.
Yeah. Now, George W. Bush, his son, is planning on attending the inauguration.
He is. Haven't heard about Jeb Bush, after that rancorous primary season. But George W. and Laura Bush do plan to be there, and so too, of course, Trump's rival in the campaign, Hillary Clinton. She'll be there as well.
Jim Ryan, ABC News in Texas, following this story. Jim, thanks for checking in.
Thanks, McGraw.
655, Big 550 KTRS. Remember, George Herbert Walker Bush was shot down in an airplane in the Pacific during World War II. Has led an extraordinary life and class, even at the age of 92. Right? What a true American hero he really is. All right. So coming up in